Hey guys, welcome to the third episode
Episode.
of Mostly Common Sense with the great Bruce Backman, Rishi Frank.
And we have a special guest, a dear friend of mine, Chapin Fay. Chapin and I used to work together for Governor Pataki many, many years ago. We actually sat next to each other. He has, it's not, I don't know if it's a real privilege, but it's something that happened.
Well,
And thank God we keep up all these years later. And I wanted to bring Chapin on this today. First of all, because Chapin is a world-class political consultant who's worked on races all over the United States and probably internationally. And most recently, what Chapin is most known for is that he was the official spokesman of the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, and he was stationed in Israel for how many months?
3 months, almost
3
exactly.
months, and he was in Gaza. Not outside Gaza, not looking at Gaza. He was in Gaza at aid sites, distribution sites. He did media interviews. He knows a lot of the major players over there. The Gaza Humanitarian Fund was very controversial in some of the far-left media, but it fed, 2 million people?
Well, we were in, we could access of about 1 million people, about 1 million Gazans, because we weren't in the north.
Sure.
Population, of course, is twice that. But our model is a little different. We don't do bulk distribution like most of the humanitarian organizations. We did individual meals in boxes, enough for a family of 5 to have 3 meals a day for 3.5 days in one box. And we delivered 200 million meals in 4 months, handing them directly putting them in the hands of the Gazans who needed them the most.
So were people starving, or is that true or false?
So, what I could tell you from my experience, first I will say, while I do not believe there's evidence of famine and mass starvation or genocide, those are words that the politicians can debate. I'll tell you what I saw. Hungry, desperate people who live in a war zone. They came to our sites, they got food, and then they had to go back to their mostly displaced camps and tents, and some of them didn't have places to live. And we were in Rafah and Khan Yunis, the two sites that I went to most frequently, and they're just destroyed, right? The IDF was waging a war, and there were tunnels and all of that that Hamas was doing. So I understand why it was done, but it's destroyed, and that's where these people live. So they were hungry. They needed the food. We were told by all the aid seekers that I interacted with, and we had interpreters and some spoke English, said that they were feeding their families and relied on the food that we were giving them.
And who funded that?
So let me take a step back. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation
Yeah.
is a American, Delaware-based nonprofit with one mission, and one mission alone, which is to feed the people of Gaza in a way that Hamas or anyone else can't steal or otherwise divert.
That was my other question about stealing. I heard a lot about
Well,
stealing.
I want to interject before he continues to explain it. I mean, the problem was that Hamas was taking a lot of the rations that were given. The UN was running a kind of I wouldn't call it a Ponzi scheme, but the aid was going. The UN seems to have known that it was going to get stolen, and then seemingly it went to fund Hamas,
Yeah.
and then seemingly they kept on having this constant stream of money. And the goal was to starve Hamas, not the Gazans, as a way to try to bring the war to an end. So some smart people who wanted the war to end, who were not really political one way or the other, said the enemy is Hamas. So if we can limit the ability of Hamas to get the food, then we can feed Gazans, and we can limit the resources going to Hamas, which is then going to use to, pay for weapons and arms and all the rest of the things that were exacerbating the conflict and continuing the conflict.
Yeah,
so you were boots on the ground.
So we're no longer engaged there. So I don't have to play nice with the UN anymore, which I will get into in a minute, because we thought we could collaborate with them. We had an offer to collaborate with them while they were calling us genocidal murderers, literally. The UN, and I'll get to this, but Hamas made $1 billion in the 2 years of this war off stealing aid alone.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
But so one of the reasons we were controversial is we used armed security. We had hundreds in country, not necessarily on duty at any given time, but they were former elite U.S. military, a lot of Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Marines, and they were armed, and we had zero diversion. None of our convoys were even attacked. And our model is a little different. We have sites that the IDF built for us and then handed over to us. To be clear, we work with the IDF to deconflict. They were never on our sites. You could see them in the distance sometimes, and you could hear gunfire was endemic. They were waging war. And so that's one reason we were controversial. And we had no casualties on our site except for 2 terrorist attacks. One was a stampede Hamas fomented, and one Hamas threw a grenade over the berm and injured an American 2 Americans who are okay.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So they try to bomb the place we're giving out free food.
Correct. In fact, I wasn't there that day, but the last couple of weeks I was in country, there were rocket attacks at our sites. and where they land would kill Palestinians, maybe injure our people as well. And that was one of the reasons we were controversial, and I get to talk a little bit more freely with you guys because I'm not it doesn't exist really anymore. But we were so there were casualties in this war, right? And there were presumably some civilian casualties. No country's ever waged a war without civilian casualties. I think the way Israel waged it was very cautious, overly cautious. But what would happen is the Gaza Ministry of Health would put out every day, would tell Reuters, BBC, AP, and we would our American PR firm would wake up every morning to media inquiries that were just cut and pasted from the day before. The Gaza Ministry of Health says 20 children were shot in the genitals in the face and treated at a hospital on the way to your sites. What do you have to say about that? And so we would ask our people, did you see anything like this? No, you could see outside the sites for meters, sometimes kilometers. And our people would say no. We'd ask the IDF, they'd say, we're going to do an investigation, we'll get back to you. Almost none of those casualties were confirmed. And so the international media would run these stories saying that GHF was a bait for Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people. That is not what again, I'm trying to avoid like super political conversations and be respectful of my former client, but that's not what I saw. And by the way, my joke is if the Israelis were doing genocide, it's the worst genocide in the history of planet Earth.
Clearly.
We had up to 20,000 Gazans in our sites, were basically big pens, for hours, a half a day, while they came and collected food. And one of the things we did,
Is there water there? Did you give out food while they were waiting?
So
it's a silly question.
No, we had water for people.
This is a catering guy, so
yeah, no. So this is good. You're gonna get me back into actually telling the story of GHF, which is what I should be doing. We had Samaritan's Purse, which is a NGO from
Franklin Graham's thing.
Yes, and they do medical aid.
Yeah.
And so we had them on site. There were often heat injuries. It's hot. Sometimes people did walk too far. That was a criticism. That was fair, right? We weren't in control of where our sites were, and we pushed Israel and the IDF to let us move north.
Yeah, but it was for the safety of the aid workers.
It was for safeties of everyone. The Gazans.
You didn't do it there for no reason. They just didn't want it to be too close to the war zone. So
That's correct.
Correct.
That's correct.
Because a lot of these people are volunteers. Correct.
Yes, and in fact, we had a site in central. I'm forgetting the name of the area now, since it's been a couple months. But in central Gaza, it was right near a Hamas encampment. Actually, that was closed every other day because of Hamas threats. People would dig tunnels and holes, and there was a bridge there that you couldn't really have visibility into. So it was dangerous. So we closed it every couple of days based on whether the IDF told us there was a threat and wait till they get it, or if we had threat assessment folks every day watching the cameras.
So Hamas looks at you as the enemy.
Correct. And they were in the crowd. I'm told by our security personnel when I was out there that they're probably in the crowd. They watch what we do. Sometimes they take photos. The terrorist attack of the grenade. So we had guard houses, right,
of course.
around it looks like a big sandbox, right?
Perimeter.
And guard houses. And their main job was crowd control. The crowds were big and dangerous to themselves, not necessarily because of violence, just because of trampling. I mean, if they all rushed at someone, that person would get trampled to death, which is the other terrorist attack. But so kids were throwing rocks up at the guardhouse in like almost playful manner for a week.
Did you ever almost get injured?
No, and we could talk about that, but no, I never felt unsafe.
Okay.
We could talk about that. Some people
Your
did.
mother wasn't.
There
so
was a reporter
fond of this.
who wouldn't. So I have so much to say. It's all coming out. No, my mother didn't sleep for 3 months.
I'm aware.
My mother did not sleep for 3 months. My father's a Vietnam War vet. He was
You
fine.
can't get a normal job in like Texas.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't like to say I had fun or enjoyed it, but it was a very meaningful professional experience.
So were
for
they
me.
thankful when they came to pick up their food?
Grateful. There were angry people when we ran out. Right, you're not doing enough. We're out of food. I traveled this way. That happened. One of the main criticisms was we weren't enough. And I would say on every international interview, I would say, I agree with you. We were never meant to replace the UN. We were supposed to be this one type of model to supplement and a huge comprehensive solution to the most complex humanitarian crisis of our lifetime. That's happening in an ongoing war zone. But the UN didn't like that we used armed professionals. What I think the UN didn't like was that Hamas couldn't mess with it, and we were able to execute the job, and the UN was not able to get the job done. I have spoken inside Gaza to truck drivers, humanitarian aid truck drivers, who work for UN umbrella groups, and they asked us for help. They said just the day before, they tried to move their trucks farther in, and they were immediately shot at. They thought they were going to get killed or kidnapped and had to run. The trucks were looted, and they came back. And then they said, could you, I was standing there with some of our security guys, could you provide security for us? I said, of course. You got to talk to your leadership.
But you know, I mean, the theory, the feeling is outside without, let's say, I'm not in the room, but the UN kind of wasn't so against having the stuff stolen.
No, of
They
course
were
not.
very in favor of it.
They, in
They
fact,
knew
at one
full
point-
well when you have UNRWA and all these organizations hanging around there, which is pretty much just covers for Hamas these
Yes.
days. They're kind of like eager for the stuff to get stolen. So this was a way of bypassing their entire. You were starving.
This
the
is why
beast.
Israel supported us going in, right? That's why they approved
Well,
us
sure,
going
because
in.
they knew that the Hamas stuff, the food's not getting where it's supposed to.
That's
it ends
right.
up getting sold at the market. People don't have any money,
Yes.
and then the blame comes back to them either way. So if we're going to get blamed, at least
Yes.
let's feed the people.
So again, the United Nations at best is a huge bureaucratic morass who can't get out of their own way if you give them the benefit of the doubt that their way is the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And at worst, it's just a hive. What's this line from Star Wars? Never more a hive of villainy and scum,
Mm-hmm.
anti-Semitic scum, than the United Nations. They would rather at one point, when I first arrived, they were letting, I saw them,
Uh-huh.
they were letting 1,000 trucks of aid rot in the sun inside Gaza while going on television and Twitter and saying that Israel is not letting us, there's a blockade and is not letting us deliver this aid. I went and did a video standing by the trucks with,
wow.
with rice in Gaza, rice rotting, medical aid expired, cans of things strewn about, flour all over the place. The UN would rather let people starve, just like Hamas would rather let anyone who echoes Hamas's talking points. You know,
Did you ever meet anybody from Hamas?
I assume I would not be one of their favorite people, so I don't think I'm sure that I met some people. So sorry, I'm jumping around.
It's okay.
One of the things that we
Very
did.
interesting. A lot of people don't know this.
One of the problems that I have with the UN, and let's forget all the
Hold on,
stuff
they had 1,000 trucks sitting in Hamas
Correct.
in Gaza. Why didn't the Gazans just go and take the food? What was the issue?
Well, so it was near the border.
Okay.
It was near where Kogod approves it, and then you go across the border and you sit, and then you go farther in, right? And it's like a staging area, and it's in Gaza, and it was approved to go in, and there were 1,000 trucks.
Oh, it was approved.
Yeah,
It was just parked doing nothing.
It was not a matter of access; it was a matter
So
of
why didn't
execution.
Gazans just go take it, or was
So it was in the so we were at the Rafah crossing, which is in
Okay.
the south behind IDF lines. Like
Okay.
I said, Rafah was destroyed. On our trip in our armored cars, you didn't see people. You really couldn't see anything. It was rubble. I can show you guys pictures. It was basically roads bulldozed and like rubble.
So the
and buildings.
Gazans could get to the trucks? They couldn't get. Why couldn't they get
They
to these
couldn't really
riding
get
rights?
there.
Because why? I'm just explain.
So this isn't something that I have expertise on. Outside of our sites, I don't have a lot of expertise.
Okay.
However, from my understanding, the IDF was creating humanitarian zones, right, which our sites were inside of, and then they would clear however many kilometers around the site to make it safe for everybody, particularly the aid seekers. And by the way, this is what the IDF does. When they let 20,000 Gazans into our site, they were letting them behind IDF lines. They were holding the crowd out, kilometers outside our site. We couldn't even see. For kilometers, I couldn't see the aid seekers until they started moving past the IDF lines. And I couldn't even see IDF for most of the time. So when people say someone was shot within a few kilometers or within meters or a kilometer of the site, it's just false. It's just not true. But so what other army in the world? Like I spent a lot of time talking to our U.S. veterans who were the security guys, and they were like, America would never do this, right? If we were going to do this, we would have people on the ground. We would have put our soldiers in jeopardy. We would put them among the crowd, and that would be what was holding the crowd back, right? The IDF was holding them back, with tanks and snipers and things like that farther away. We would be up and doing it like that. And the IDF is just letting them behind their lines, right? So think about that. If one of them wanted to injure one of us, they could have, which is something I think about all the time. And this is
That's why the idea. That's why there was no Israelis involved in they didn't. These people didn't view Americans as the enemy, or
they did not view Americans as the enemy.
enemy.
In fact, they were very grateful. Steve Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee, Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee came to a site. They delivered a 100 millionth meal back over the summer.
I remember
or handed
that.
it. I forget why I said that, but there were no IDF on site even during that day. They had their own security, State Department security. But one of the reasons we were different is we innovated, right? One of the things that I saw was so frustrating for me being the spokesperson and getting asked these ridiculous questions by ridiculous, ill-informed or reporters who have an agenda is that the people that I work with, like the guy who did our supply chain, right, managed the warehouse and the repackaging, was a former Marine colonel, right? Very no nonsense,
that?
nice guy. I'm not going to give out names.
Why?
Our people get doxxed. Some of them have private security. I was lucky to escape that. Except in Israel, Haaretz wrote what hotel we were all staying at with my name. So we got protested and extra
Well,
security.
we can, there's the three enemies that Israel has. They have, if they can defeat them, if the Israeli government can defeat them, they could probably have peace. They have to defeat Hamas, Hezbollah, and Haaretz.
Yeah, well, that's right.
The big three.
But so the UN.
I don't even know how people wake up in the morning and work at Haaretz. I read the articles
It
there.
was a disgrace.
I won't pay for it.
We could talk about that too. The international media is really. I have lost a lot of respect. Here in America, I work in Republican politics mostly.
You work for Democrats?
I have worked for Democrats. We can talk about that later. Moderates
gosh.
and conservative Democrats in primaries. Very
I
unsuccessful.
wrote an
I might
article in
add.
favor of Andrew Cuomo, which was pretty painful.
I gotta go.
I did. I did.
I didn't know that. I don't know if I would have done your podcast had I known
Said
that.
you had to fight. Well, I
No.
mean, it was better than the. It was.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
better than.
next time he runs, I will
It was
still
better
be
than
there.
Hezbollah Harry, who just
I'll
won the election.
I'll still be. No, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I don't agree. I think it's. I think
Andrew
we're
Cuomo is the father of bail reform. Andrew Cuomo, my pro bono client, the COVID nursing home orphans.
Yes.
Blame him for the deaths of all the relatives during COVID. The man wrote a book during COVID.
I remember the book.
Hold on, I'm getting to the punchline. The man wrote a book in the middle of the pandemic. More people died during the pandemic after he wrote the book than before he wrote the book.
I'm aware of all that.
Maybe fewer people would have died if he spent government resources on a
He didn't
pandemic
write the
response.
book. He goes
Yeah,
wrote the
the
book.
government did. His government resources.
The government goes through the book.
Yeah, so maybe they should have
I'm
been
gonna-
helping. Any case, we're
I'm
getting
going
off
to
track.
defend.
The
One
UN.
sec. If we're gonna go there on Andrew Cuomo was nowhere near a person that I like. I worked for George Pataki. I actually did the Cuomo research 25 years ago when he was going to be running against Pataki, possibly if he'd won the primary. I'm an expert on Andrew Cuomo. I know everything about Andrew Cuomo.
I did the research in
including-
2001 on
You
Andrew
did.
Cuomo.
We did all the research. I know about his roommates when he lived on 2nd Avenue and 23rd Street and the CV building, and I know
Some
about his
stuff
money
we're not
with
going to
Hell.
talk about
I mean,
that
we know
we
everything.
couldn't necessarily prove, but we know happened.
We have plenty of stuff we
His
know about
business
Andrew Cuomo.
partner, who was a
I'll still
pedophile.
take him over Hezbollah Harry and his gang of
his
of
law
fiends.
partner, his early law partner, who was in the witness protection program in prison because of the nasty stuff that he did. Bruce, here's what I'll tell
or
you
his
about
homeless
Andrew Cuomo.
programs that didn't really get people out of being homeless.
Here's what I'll tell you about Andrew Cuomo. There's the devil you know and the devil you don't, but they're
And I'll
both still
always-
the devil.
But I'll still take I always say the devil you know is always better than the devil you don't.
The song
Because the
lyric.
devil
I
you
just
know,
learned that the other
because
day.
the devil you know, you can always be prepared for, and the
So-
devil you don't. Be careful what you wish for; it may come true.
I think we can all agree the UN is really a terrible organization. I'll reel you back in here, Bruce.
It's a terrible
So
organization.
One of the
It's the
one of the
worst.
one of the substantive problems I have with the UN is just a my way or the highway. We're the experts. This is how it's done, which they couldn't. You can see all over social media. I'll show you.
Sure.
Their trucks getting attacked while we're feeding people. Right? It was a stark contrast. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Gaza, trucks.
Oh,
Who
the UN. Oh,
UN.
so my criticism of the UN is that they wouldn't adapt. And so what I saw of the people of GHF
What's
every
GHF?
single day,
That's-
Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, every single day trying to figure a better way to do a better job for the people we serve, the aid seekers, the Palestinians in Gaza. Every single day, right? Our first distribution was very ugly, right? I have a guy I have a lot of respect for, a senior level guy, military background, on the humanitarian team. He was there on day one, and he goes, I was so excited. I was standing there with my box, my GHF box, like, oh, great, I'm going to hand this to people. And then over the berm, 10,000 people are running at me. And he was like, what are we going to do now? The reason they were running was because it was our first day. They didn't know what was going to happen. They were desperate, they were hungry, and they needed help. Fast forward to August, and couldn't be smoother, right? One of the problems, to my point about the UN, one of the problems that we tried to solve for was our model did have some flaws, and we tried to fix for them and solve for those problems. One of those flaws was our convoys would bring, so the way our model worked was we had bulk stuff flown or shipped to a warehouse in between, we had two warehouses in between Tel Aviv and Rafah, or the Rafah crossing. They then got trucked. They got put into smaller packages, into meals. Those boxes got loaded onto trucks, and then that got sent to the border and across. And then when the IDF approved us for a distribution, hours before, a convoy of security personnel, armored trucks. They were defensive. They didn't have weapons, but of course inside were, 4 heavily armed former U.S. military veterans. And they would go to the site. They would download the aid. We had the backbone of our operation was local Gazan workers. We had I don't know. I forget the numbers, but we're up to about 100 at the end. Yes,
people?
locals.
And you were
That we
paying
couldn't
them,
do
or they were
without them.
volunteers?
They were compensated, yes. And some volunteered, particularly in the story I'm going to get to. But it was one of the most dangerous jobs. They actually live on site. They were living on site.
What did they have, caravans?
So
What were
they used to
living
take a bus to work, and
Bus from where?
I'm not sure. They would get
Okay.
on a bus from wherever they were, and they would come to the site. That was how the model started. Again, we adapt, and this is a horrible thing that had to be adapted for. I forget. It was before I got there, so it must have been in June, mid-June. Hamas hijacked one of the buses, murdered, I think 9 or 10 people right on site on video. The crowd sort of chased them away, and the survivors were brought to Nasser Hospital and left to die in the courtyard and refused treatment.
Because they were working.
Yeah,
for
Doctors Without
GHF.
Borders is another organization that's an absolute disgrace. You can read some recent articles about that.
I mean, they've always
But they
been a
operate
disgrace.
at Nasser Hospital. Now, I did not say that they refused. Right? I'm very clear in my words. I'm an attorney. But they took offense when a reporter asked me about the hospital, and I said, "I'm glad you brought asked about Doctors Without Borders." I said, "I'm glad you brought that up." At a hospital they operate at, people were left Gazans, not IDF soldiers, not American humanitarian aid workers, local people who were trying to help feed their neighbors.
And get paid and make money and make a living.
Well, whatever. They're literally gonna yes, fine. But they were there to putting their lives. They didn't have to do that. I mean, there are not many jobs. I mean, another important thing to know about Gaza is there's no social structure. There's no jobs. There's nothing for people
So
to
how is
do.
Gaza City so untouched by all this? Or you were never there, obviously.
I mean, I don't know that I would say it was untouched. So right at the
There's
end of our
videos
engagement,
in Gaza City of restaurants and life continuing
Yes.
as is.
well, so
Somehow or
I was
other.
never there, and I don't know what's true and what's not.
The
but it
Israelis
did
never went
seem-
into Gaza City.
They did at the end.
Yeah, and then
They
there
started
was
to methodically go in the end.
on
That's
the
what we,
outskirts. They were getting in. They
yeah,
weren't.
we-
They never
we-
really made it inside.
and it sent more people. It actually made. You asked me if I was ever. You asked me if I was ever in
Attacked.
danger or anything like that. No, but I'll tell another funny. You're getting all the behind the scenes stuff that I haven't really talked about.
Sure.
If my client yells at me, it's fine. It's I'm not being paid.
Do
anyway.
they owe you money?
No, I'll pay it. I'll pay it up. I love you, Bruce.
I don't know. I know the business.
No, I know.
As long as they owe you
Listen,
money, shut up.
Yes, and I'm not going to say anything out of school anyway. But I did embeds was part of my role, right? I would bring reporters in and
Zach
escort
went.
them. Zach, yes, from Newsmax.
Yeah, exactly.
I was trying to help him. He had a great idea for something he wanted to do. I was trying to help get it done. They didn't really like the. It was all about safety and people were overly cautious, which I understand. But so we brought an influencer in.
Uh-huh.
we're standing there, and he's kind of like, 10 feet in front of me with his back to me.
What kind
And
of
I'm standing
influencer?
with-
A Jewish one? No.
We did bring one Jewish influencer.
Who?
The influencers we brought were Brooke Goldstein.
Okay,
He was
she's
our
not
first
really an
influencer.
influencer. She's like a
Yeah, she's
lawyer.
media adjacent. Yeah, she's much more media.
adjacent, yeah.
It's unfair to call her just an influencer. That's correct.
Correct.
Which is why she was the first of that,
Correct.
not strictly media that we brought in. We had brought media
She's
in before
very
that.
smart.
She was great. She was incredible. And then we brought in Nate Buzz.
don't know who that
he's
is.
an actor. He's a really good dude. He's an actor from, I forget, The Vampire Diaries, a show I didn't watch.
Should have brought Moshe
Very
Indig.
good looking guy, actor. But he's very pro. He's Christian, but he's very pro Israel. He does trips to Israel. He
Who
has
funded
a-
your foundation?
Good question. So
Okay.
we're very grateful for President Trump's administration's $30 million grant. But we are funded by donor nations. We're funded by donor nations, who I do not speak for. We do not speak for.
Got you.
I can tell you, I'm fairly certain it was Western Europe, a Western European nation. But again, I don't speak for. I can't.
So
speak
they
for that.
funded this.
That was the
This-
book. We spent $2.5 million a day. Food, emergency food, which we would call ourselves, and we were a humanitarian aid organization, but really we were an emergency food distribution program. You asked about water. We gave out water when people needed it. But interesting fact: before I got there, the first distribution they had bottles of water. They left out the pallets of. So our model that I was talking about, that you
Where was
leave
the
the
food
aid
from?
and you
America,
bring
Israel?
anywhere. You bring you go into the site and you bring your food home. Is how it works. So we left the water out for them to take the first distribution. No one wanted it. No one took any water. It was not worth. And then you had all the plastic around too. So it was not. There was
People
just
didn't
not
want
the.
water.
There was not the need.
I guess
Again,
they'll have access
you,
to water wherever they are.
you read things in the national media that just aren't true based on my experience.
They had
there.
access to water, obviously. if
I
they weren't
I had
taking
heard
it.
that Israel was pumping water into Gaza.
Israel's been pumping water
Yeah.
since they left Gaza in 2005.
Yes,
They
but in
also
the
been
national
pumping
media, you
electricity and every other utility and energy resource necessary. It was
Yeah.
part of the pullout.
Outlets like the BBC can't hold two thoughts at once, right? You can't criticize Israel for the way they're waging war and also understand they're doing some things good too. They just can't do it. They won't do it.
I mean, the Jews are not. I mean, I say this, and it's not because I'm like the president of the Jews, but I mean, Jews are not so popular. You know, Mahmoud Darwish.
Yeah, it's scary. It's
You ever
scary.
heard there was a famous Palestinian poet, Mahmoud Darwish, said years ago. He says, "We're very lucky in the Palestinians." He's not somebody I like. He says, "We're lucky and we're unlucky. We're lucky the Jews are our enemies because the world's eyes are always upon them. And we're unlucky the Jews are our enemies because they're very capable and talented at militarily and otherwise. You know, we're not really able to defeat them. But all the while, they get a lot of attention because everybody's kind of obsessed with them. I mean, you have deaths of people in Nigeria, in the Congo. You have deaths of people in Syria in the last few years, and everybody's just like sleeping. And then
Yeah.
the obsession on, I understand that the media images and there's pictures and there's stories and it's compelling and it's exciting and it's the center of the world and there's spiritual component to it. But
Can I blame the UN some more?
you could blame the UN, but I wish it was just the UN. I genuinely think the Jews are not so popular. I think that there's a lot. I mean, and I'm not saying it in
Yeah.
a bad. I'm saying it.
Well, I'm gonna.
I mean,
yeah,
you're not Jewish, but you've
No.
spent enough time with me, and you've eaten with me in restaurants, which were kosher. So you got to suffer quite a bit too.
Listen, the kosher
eating-
pizza in 2001 was better than the regular pizza.
Yeah, you
Howie
used to
Bagel and
like-
I are the only two that ate it.
You used to like that Diamante
Correct.
pizza, and we would order it to the office, and they were like,
But Howie was
"Why
the
are we
o-
ordering kosher pizza?" I said, "You're not going to believe this. Chapin likes this kosher pizza shop
Howie
on
was the only one.
47th Street.
He was the only one
48th Street.
that needed kosher pizza, so he obviously didn't eat the whole thing. I wouldn't have taken it if other people.
What about
wanted
me?
it.
I didn't eat kosher. Not so much.
You
Let's
did
not do
keep
this thing.
kosher. No, you did keep
Somewhat.
kosher. I mean, I could tell some stories, but well, I was egging him on to break kosher, and we ordered. You and I were the only people in the office, and we ordered Chinese food.
I didn't eat the Chinese food.
You didn't because, well, this is a story I tell people. I was like egging you on, like a 22-year-old kid would do. And then I saw you got it. You were uncomfortable. We were waiting for the food to come, and you were like nervous and
I
like.
didn't eat it.
No, but I told you, I was like, Bruce, I'm not gonna let you do this because if you're gonna
See,
break
look at
kosher,
this.
if you're gonna break kosher, we're gonna go have some fun food. We're not gonna do it for the crappy Chinese food we just ordered around the block.
Yeah.
Right? We'll go get some
Which was
lobsters
like
or something. We're not gonna-
$4.10
Let's go get the
with
seafood.
the
We'll go get the seafood tower at Strip House.
Let's not talk about
Yeah,
kosher food.
anyway.
I'm very kosher. I run a Passover program
Anyway,
under the ORB.
so, but to-
Everybody
to
should
your-
eat
to
there.
your-
There's nothing to worry about.
to your
My
point-
kids go to Beis Rivka and
To your
yeshiva.
point, we
Yes.
were criticized for militarizing humanitarian aid, right? Because we had the security, which is the only reason we were able to do anything and the reason
Right.
we were successful. And so the UN, that was what the UN used against us. So every time they had something negative to say, that's really what they used against us. But guess what? That is talking about how unpopular Israel is, that is the only place on planet Earth that the United Nations has a problem with using armed security or using an organization or work with an organization just like ours.
No, they do
In
that
other
everywhere
places,
else.
Sudan, Congo. In Sudan, I'm fairly certain they're working with one of the warring components, one of the warring combatants, right? At one point, they suggested Hamas be their security.
I mean, Israel is a stalking horse for a lot of bigger issues. You know, many years ago, I met with the Turks about doing work for Turkey. I had a meeting with Erdogan's chief of staff in Washington. This
Not
I
a
really
hotbed
did.
of Israeli support
It
in
was
that
a
country,
hotbed.
right?
Listen, you need to work. You get a meeting. I didn't know what it was. This was a long time ago. Also, Erdogan had just come off of not being such a fan of Israel. A friend of mine said, "Go meet with them." They were very obsessed with, I could say it now, I don't care, with Gulen, which is a Turkish, whatever, political person, who knows, who was living in Pennsylvania. They wanted to go after him. And over the course of the meeting, we spoke for 3 hours. And one of the things I understood is that in that part of the world, Israel is it's like a cheap hit. You attack Israel, It gets
Easy.
the far right in your country, not the far right. Let's say the religious extremists are happy because you're going after Israel, and it gives you some political capital to do other things. Like, is Erdogan in those years, was he really today he is anti-Israel, but even now he still uses it a way to keep control over his coalition. It's kind of like red meat for the base.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Israel is red meat for a lot of the bases in that part of the
What
world.
does red meat for
Hamas?
the base mean?
Red meat means that
You got to feed the base
you
red
have
meat
to
to keep them
throw
happy.
them things to keep them happy. In other words, the economy sucks. There's no jobs. There's unemployment. It's not safe. The infrastructure sucks. The hospitals
I would say
suck.
a good
but
red
listen,
meat.
we're anti-Israel.
Yeah.
Boom, and everybody's like, "Yay!" and they get excited and they clap.
Well-
and then it buys you another week. It buys you another month.
My
The Republicans used to do it in America on abortion.
my hot take here is that Hamas achieved the goal that they were trying to achieve in almost unmatched, unbelievable success, because you know what was happening. Israel and Netanyahu were working on normalizing relations with countries like Saudi Arabia.
You know,
right?
you know, you know, Netanyahu.
Right
had-
before that happened.
Do you know Netanyahu?
And now
after-
around the world, everyone hates Jews again.
Do you know in mid-October of 2023, Netanyahu and Erdogan were supposed to have a meeting?
People hated
In
America
Turkey.
during the Iraq War too, because wars are ugly, and that was
the-
less justified than what Israel's
But
doing.
then there's the other side. The Palestinians may have achieved their goals of becoming relevant.
Hamas, I would also
Hamas. I don't make such a distinction. I don't know if there's really such a distinction.
right.
'Cause
Again,
especially in
I'll get
Gaza.
out of it by saying that's for the politicians to determine.
No,
what
but
I will say is
I don't know if there's
I
this
have-
big. I haven't seen the big opposition force against Hamas in
Well-
Gaza or in the West Bank rise up and say we don't want this.
Yeah,
there's no Machados like
So
in Venezuela.
Before I went to Israel, I wouldn't be talking like this because I was very pro-Israel and I wouldn't hear any other.
Yeah.
Right, Israel could do no wrong almost in the way that I spoke about it. But now that I've been there, I've interacted with Gazans. I understand and acknowledge that there's a difficulty in waging war in a place like that because there is no distinction between combatants, non-combatants. We learned later that the Gaza Ministry of Health and the hospitals weren't even distinguishing between children, women, and men. So they would say 15 children were shot. And it wasn't even.
I've
children, right?
always been like one of these. I wouldn't say a peacenik, but I grew
But
up in
these
the
people-
90s
these
where I
people
was
have- this is
sympathetic
their
to them.
whole
I just
life.
don't know.
They
don't
live in a war zone.
They don't. But the problem with the
They
Palestinians
live
is
on
they
humanitarian
don't-
aid.
They don't have to do this. They
I agree.
don't
Listen,
have to do this.
I agree
You know,
with-
there's.
But
you know,
what are they
eight-
going to do? What are the people who came to our
They don't
sites
have to
didn't
do
even
this.
have homes, let alone weapons and food and things.
It's all true, but as a society, they don't have to do this. I know Jews. I'm not an expert on much, but Jewish people I understand, and I can't speak for all Jewish people, and I can't speak for all Israelis because I'm not one. But I can say this, and I can say this with certainty, that if you have a group of Palestinians, I always go back to Sadat. The Anwar Sadat, after the Yom Kippur War, got on a plane, and he went to Jerusalem, flew in on Jerusalem. He said, "That's it. I want peace. I'm done." We had a war in 56, in 48, in 56, in 67, and now in 73. We were not successful. I want back to Sinai. I don't want to do this anymore. Sadat got on a plane. He went to Israel, and he says, "I don't want to do this anymore." And he arrives in Israel, and he's greeted like a king, where they line up all the dignitaries and all the politicians along the tarmac when he lands. Why? Because when a leader of the Palestinians or an Arab country says, "I don't want to do this anymore. I want to find a way to live together. I want to find a way to work together. I want to find a way to do business together," the Israelis are there. I can't say they're all there. There's going to be 20% of the country who's going to be questioning it.
But what you're outlining
the
is
vast
leadership.
majority. Yeah, but
You're
it's-
outlining leadership.
Well, but the
doing that.
leadership is, the leadership is
That I agree
responsive to
with you.
somebody.
No, but
Who's the leadership? It's not it's who's
Right, but that's
somebody's
not
supporting this.
That's not the little kids and their mothers who are coming to get food.
No, but it's
you're
their
talking about
fathers.
leadership.
It's their mother. There was the thing recently.
All I'm saying is I
I'm
definitely have.
sympathetic to the
yeah.
human
Yeah.
cause, the individual
Yes.
crisis of that one person.
It's also a war zone. It's
but
one
they
of the
don't
only,
have to do this.
It's one of the only war zones ever where you can't leave, even if you
Matt.
wanted to. They weren't allowed to leave.
Look at Syria.
Do you know that the most heartbreaking stuff was, and I didn't know what it was at first, but sometimes.
who didn't
like
let them out?
Sometimes, like a mom would come up to you who didn't speak English and be showing you papers.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, first of all, I don't speak the language. I can't help you. And I was looking for translators. It was documentation saying they were allowed to travel. They want to get out, go someplace else, live a better life.
But the Egyptians
Not
won't
allowed.
let them in.
Well, right. I'm not saying it's Israel's fault. I'm just saying the plight of the Gazan people is something that I have a little bit more.
I have
I
tremendous
don't know what the
sympathy.
right word is. Respect for, empathy,
I
understanding.
have tremendous sympathy for the plight of the average Gazan, Palestinian, Arab.
But to your point,
I have sympathy
but
for
to your
them.
point,
I'm
what-
not a there. You should
No, I
kill them
agree.
all.
But
type.
maybe
God forbid.
I might be
But I don't. At some point, somebody has to say, "I don't want to do this anymore."
back to heated
Let's do
agreement.
some
Bruce and I are always at heated agreement. Sorry, I'm about to agree with you.
heated agreement.
You know, it does take some rising up by the people for sure.
No, it takes rising up by the leadership to realize this isn't going to be successful. I mean, the
Right.
leadership isn't. You know, the problem.
But here's what I'm saying. I'm not agreeing. I'm
Hamas
saying
isn't
it's
really gonna
leadership's
win.
fault. So when you cause a war,
Uh-huh.
or you're involved in a war, there are going to be very bad things that happen, right? When George
Sure,
W.
of course.
Bush, for all the faults of those wars, like they knew
Uh-huh.
and they presumably tried to plan to manage through some of the bad things that were going to happen. Humans are humans. Some soldiers are going to do some bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Some kids are accidentally going to get killed. There's no war where this does not happen, right? And this is the fault of Hamas and its leadership.
Yeah.
But this is not the fault of Israel. What I saw, and I'm not exonerating Israel for everything that they do. I'm not here to do that. But what I saw was a country that like went above and beyond to prevent any type of civilian casualty. And it almost didn't matter because no matter what they did, the international media was going to be there to scream at
Well,
them.
that's no question.
Right? So, well, listen, if I was advising Israel, I would say, you're going to wage a war, go win it in a couple of months, pull the Band-Aid off, and then move on.
That's what a lot of people.
The
were
problem is
saying.
it's much more complicated than that, and I'm not an expert in this by any means, but like the hostages were right, a hugely complicated
Did
issue.
you like Israel?
I loved Israel. I had a great time. One of the best meals I've ever had was in Beersheba.
Where?
A little my humanitarian friend Sean, if he ever sees this, will maybe appreciate the shout
kosher
out.
restaurant?
It must have been kosher, right? Beersheba is a pretty religious town, right?
Also,
It's a very that was my most city in the desert experience was Beersheba.
it was better than when you met my wife and kids at the kosher McDonald's eating
Oh, no.
McNuggets.
I wouldn't call that very deserty, but I love Jerusalem. I spent a lot of time in Jerusalem too. I got to know a little bit. I had a friend who has a store there. It was interesting.
My children love the kosher McDonald's in Israel. It's the highlight of their trip. They travel all day to go there and to get Happy Meals. They don't even want the food; they want the toys.
I will embarrassingly admit I ordered McDonald's delivery when there were no food options for some reason. It was late or I forgot.
You're staying in a nice place.
Well, the dinner closes there, and then
Did they have? You had lounge access.
I did have lounge access,
There was
but
no
it's not
food at
24
night?
hours.
Ah,
And sometimes I'd be home later.
Did you walk around with a bulletproof vest when you're on site there?
On site, yes. We wouldn't let you in. The powers that be, wouldn't let you in without a helmet and a bulletproof vest. And I don't even know if that's the right term. Some sort
And you're a
of armor.
spokesperson.
Spokesperson.
Wow.
yeah. He was the official spokesperson. He was doing TV with everybody.
Oh, I was telling you the story about the influencer. So I never felt unsafe. My father's a Vietnam War vet. I had this conversation with him a lot. I don't have children. I don't even have, I'm soon to be no longer married. So maybe I don't feel that responsibility, so I can be a little bit more reckless in my personal life. But I just never felt unsafe. Like, there were air raids at least once a week.
Were
in
you
Tel
there
Aviv.
in the summer when
No,
the
not during the
bombings in
Iran war.
Iran? You
No,
weren't
no,
there
not,
for that.
I heard
12-day
that
war.
was pretty. Here, I would be having a little bit more of a down conversation about my life in danger if I had been there. I was one of the few people that I was probably the last to arrive on the team. So most people lived through that. In fact, one of the former the security personnel who got injured in the grenade attack was okay. Went to the hospital, was okay, but he also was injured when he was on break in Tel Aviv, and a rocket during the Iran War hit the hotel he was staying at. He was one of the
Which
few
hotel
people who
got
went
hit?
home. He was like, you know what? That's 2 times, and I gotta
I'm
go
out.
home.
You in touch with the people after you left?
Some of them, yeah, they were all to a person, great people. I think. I mean, I like the
Was it
military
cool
guys.
when the hostages? You weren't there when the hostages got. You
So
just left.
I was going on break, a temporary break.
Yeah, which
The weekend, the Saturday, I think the hostage deal was maybe announced on a Friday.
I was in Israel when the hostages were released.
Correct. That Saturday.
We went
so
to the
we
hostage
hung out on
square.
Monday. The following
We saw
Saturday, I
each
went home
other,
on break.
yeah.
In fact, on the way to the hospital, on the way to the airport, on one of the giant buildings on whatever highway it was on, there was a giant poster put up of Donald Trump. The whole skyscraper was giant, 36 stories of Donald Trump's face saying thank you. Within like
Well, he likes that stuff.
he was a very popular
likes-
person that weekend, but I
He's
unfortunately
very popular. In
I
general
unfortunately
in
left.
Israel.
That's when I left.
He's
so.
beloved over there. He's more beloved there than here.
He,
I wouldn't be surprised if he moves over there and runs for something.
we don't have to debate whether Donald
He'd
Trump is
win.
good or not, but
he would
but
win.
he deserves the
He would
Nobel Peace
win.
Prize. He deserves the Nobel Peace Prize just for getting all the Arab states to write that statement together and agree on the statement that came out when he had that press conference with Netanyahu about the peace deal.
Have you done spokespersoning before for other type of businesses, companies?
Yes, so I got my start, doing opposite research, but doing press. As a press secretary in the Pataki administration.
You were you were in one of the agencies. You weren't.
I was in a couple agencies, yeah. And then at the very end, when he ran for president in like 2006,
You were on the campaign with Vinny and everybody.
I was in New Hampshire. I forget. I don't think I was full time, but
We used to speak to the press a lot.
yes, that's what I do.
Jacob,
Interact with the press, yeah.
So what's it like? As a spokesperson, what is the second before you go into a press conference? What's that like? Are there 100 people telling you to say this, and that? What's that experience like? How much prepare before information gathering? Who's the last person you talk to before you walk into the press room? That's ignorant people like me.
No, that's a good question. So part of the process is different every time, but for this engagement, the process
But
was,
in general, let's keep it general.
But you want to train me, media train me. Even the most professional politician or news anchor could use practice, right? It's like practicing. And so I do that as a business too. I media train people, and I wanted them to train me up and act like
you do media training now?
I do, yeah. I've done media training. You know how many candidates I've media trained? 100 maybe.
Really?
High level media training with Mercury and Actum and the other firms I was at too.
Oh wow.
So for me, for me it's practice, right? I can sit here. I can take you through the media training.
You know who the best media trainer in the world was?
Bruce Backman. No. Who?
No, please. I don't know how to shut my mouth. No.
You need a lot of. You may be on hope. Maybe on hope. So to answer.
But you know who was? No. My old boss, Roger Ailes at the
Fox yes. Channel. Oh, of course. I could have guessed that. I
Come
forgot.
Come on. I mean, he wrote the
100% right. Yeah.
He was the best.
I read his book.
Arthur Finkelstein told me once that he was the best. He was the only one he ever thought was worth paying.
Definitely.
No, the present company excluded.
No.
Arthur
Listen,
never had the privilege of.
For me, I'm good at my job, bad at business. I mean,
we both worked with Arthur. You know, I always talk about
really
Arthur?
What you need. The best part of media training, where you get the best value, is when you take someone. Like if I'm being media trained, like I just met you today. You'd be great. Sit down, ask me questions, and have a group of people in the back, and they're going to critique. But it's practice, and then watch the video. Right, is the best way to do it. Is to film it.
Who is the best?
If Bruce is asking me a question, and we know each other. It's not.
I don't know how to play
like
tennis. I just keep.
It's hard to replicate the pressure, which is what you're asking about. Like, I had to do Piers Morgan from my hotel room. His cameraman came and was like, they kept me on ice for 2 hours, just sitting there, listening. Which was kind of nerve wracking. But the
main person you're talking to is the politician, the CEO of a company. Who's the last person?
So it depends on the client, but for me, I usually talk to like the women who are running the PR effort, and I would say, can I say this, or I think about saying this, and so I would get what I wanted to say down. Right, I'm gonna give you some behind the scenes secrets here. Right, this is a little bit more freewheeling.
Right,
I would not have said half the stuff that I said today.
Right.
On an interview. And
more
the hard part is staying on message. The two things that are not human nature that are hard to train people to do, and I've been doing this, I do commentary as a political consultant sometimes, so I've just had practice. That's what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the confidence to sit across from a person on live TV and, I don't know if you saw the clip of me with Channel 4 in the UK where he just would interrupt me and make accusations, and he was just horrible for like 20,
you held your own
20 minutes. Yeah, well, I would, I'd have to say, listen to these questions you're asking me. You're repeating Hamas talking points. I said things like, this isn't an interview, this is a debate. Happy to have it, but let's not act like this is an unbiased debate interview. And then I would make sure I'd have the fact. You really have to be prepared. And I could tell you just my own experience over the last 3 months when I was the least preparation I would do, worse interview, for sure. And so
how much you really know and you can say as a spokesperson, or as a spokesperson you actually don't know the parts that they don't want you to know?
Well, so a good spokesperson you would know. You would what the difference. So I would never say I don't know. Or no, I don't want to say never. If it's like something complicated question and I wouldn't be embarrassed not to know the answer, I might say, that's a good question. I don't know. I'll come back.
Who do you think is a great spokesperson who's on TV today?
So I'll tell you one that I use in media training is JD Vance in the debate. The debate prep's a little bit different than media training, but it's similar. So
what about for White House press secretaries?
But I think Caroline Leavitt. I think she's.
You don't think Jen Psaki was really good?
I have a hard time because I'm a Republican. So when you're saying things that make my blood boil,
But you didn't
it's
find
hard.
her effective?
She was okay.
I found her to be very effective at her job.
It's hard when you talk about politics because if you disagree with someone, you're not like, for me, in this job, if you hated Israel and hated what we were doing, you were never going to tell me I did a good job. And even in my worst interviews, if you already supported what we were doing and thought we were doing, the right
So
thing,
how much can you
they
actually
would
sway?
Yeah, well, it's important. So one of
Tony Snow was very good in the heyday.
he was very good. He was very good. Karen Leavitt's good. So let me use JD Vance as just the example to finish the thought. If you remember in that debate, I thought it was a master class. I mean, he was up against someone who wasn't ready for prime time, so that helped in the contrast. But so
And
JD
the
Vance
president's used some pretty
knew
strong language on him
he
recently.
knew the substance. This is old JD Vance. I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to try and get into trouble with the administration here talking about this. But so I'm making no comment on current JD Vance. But during that debate, he knew government statistics. He knew the information cold. That was clear. And you have to have that to be able to do what he did, which was make jokes. They were talking about how, I don't know if you know the show The Office, which is sort of like a pretend documentary.
Sure.
And you like look at the camera funny. They look at the camera and they break the fourth wall. He would do that, right? He would make a joke. I don't even think his opponent knew he was being made fun of. Like the joke was smart. It was good. It was, not a joke, but like, an
His
attack.
opponent doesn't know much
And then he
about
would
much.
smile at the moderator and be like, and like just so effortless. And he really ran circles
He's
around
very
him.
effortless in how he
I
speaks.
think Caroline Leavitt has some of that. I'm trying to remember the others where, and I
mean,
I
Tony's-
don't have it. I could be better, right? Like even in that interview that I'm proud of, where I went back at that reporter, I could have been a little bit less emotional. I could have smiled. I could have been like,
I want to
listen
ask
to
you
these
a question.
questions you're asking. Instead, I was like, listen to these questions you're asking.
Since we worked together, you've worked for a lot of politicians. I've worked for some, but I was doing TV, for the last 20 years, bouncing around.
I work mostly for people who want to be politicians.
Want to be politicians. Well, I mean,
I'm a
that doesn't-
Republican in the Northeast, Bruce.
No, but
Challengers that
sometimes-
lose is my
Well, I mean,
wheelhouse.
you did that race against me, the Lee Zeldin race years ago, and you won.
We
with
did win that.
Demos,
We
and
did
I
win
was on
that.
the other side.
We won that by like what 20-something points, I think.
Yeah, but I gave you a tough
That
time.
was
I gave you guys a tough time.
You did. We
gave you
were
a tough
not
time.
pleased heading into that election.
No, and it was me and Arthur. Arthur was
Turns out it was one of my biggest wins
was-
on my record.
It
Bruce,
was the
so-
biggest win on your record, but you were a little scared. We were effective.
Yeah, all the polling had us down a couple of points, I think.
Yeah,
heading
because
into-
I found that Zeldin votes, which he voted for something connected to
Obamacare. It was the
Obamacare,
Obamacare
and
vote.
I found that vote, and Arthur was very happy. May he rest in peace.
Yes, well, Arthur may
Hold
have
on.
been happy, but Lee Zeldin is now the administrator of the EPA.
Arthur got
so,
paid. I don't
I think, yeah.
Hold on, but would you say Trump follows any rules of any spokesperson?
Trump is. You can't use Trump as an example. You just can't.
Isn't he like the
He's
anti-
his
spokes-
own thing. He is a.
He's an enigma.
I just heard Steve Bannon say he's like a once in a generation or every 200 years type of thing. I don't know if I would be that dramatic, but he is.
He doesn't
He is
follow
a
any rules.
one of a
when it
kind.
I
comes to
wouldn't
PR.
replicate what he does and
You
think you're going to
can't.
get the same
You
results.
can't. People have tried. The Democrats always try.
Are you on my? You've worked with many consultants. Are you on more than me? Are you agreeing with me that of all the people you worked with, Arthur was amongst the most impressive?
Oh yeah, I still have his. We went to his funeral. I was, he's still framed on my wall.
still
in
the king.
places. He was my. I'm not as much an Arthur's kid as some other people who got to work with him a little bit more,
Sure.
but he was a friend of mine.
Of course.
And I worked with him, and I just think I learned a ton, and he's also had the ability. So
He was.
you know me personally, I'm a pretty friendly, laid back guy, but
Yeah.
in this business, you have to, my business is destroying opponents, right? That's really what I'm in the
course.
business. So don't take my geniality as a mistake, geniality for not being a killer. Arthur, he's someone I want to emulate. The guy would, he would cut your throat, as an opponent with no problem, but he was the nicest man I've ever met in my entire life. And I'll tell you one quick story about Arthur. One of my first jobs in D.C. when I, didn't have any experience down there, I was an entry level, basically opposition research staffer at the NRCC, National Republican Congressional Campaign, National
Sure, of course.
Committee in D.C. And Arthur, was all the top races. Arthur, strolls in as the consultant, right? He's,
Takes off his shoes.
tie open. And every time he was there, he made a point to come by or like over the top in a meeting. He would stop a meeting with the highest level people in the House and just go, "Hey, Chapin, so nice to see you." And everyone would go, "How do you know that guy?" kind of thing. And he just, I know he was doing it because it, it was nothing cost him nothing, and he was doing me a little favor by juicing me up, when I didn't have any juice.
Kevin, people often suggest me and also Bruce to become politicians. I have zero interest. I just want to get your quick
Well, where do you live, first of all?
Brooklyn.
He wants
You
to
live in
run
Borough Park?
against Crystal.
What?
Borough Park?
Crown Heights.
Crown Heights.
He's running. He's up.
And you would
I'm
run
just
as a
curious.
Democrat or Republican?
I'm just in
You're
general.
running for office now?
I'm not running for office, but what's the general criteria personality wise? And I say first start with me,
Well, so Bruce talks too much.
so you can't be a
You
politician.
seem like, well, Bruce is going to say something that's going to get himself into trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, but they'll get out of it also. Just I don't know how many times you can do that.
But I'm being unfair to Bruce because he's my friend. He's got a good personality for this too because he's likable. I mean, you might say something, but people like you, and you probably could talk your way out of it.
I just don't know if you want to talk your. I don't know if you want. I don't know
So
if you
I
wanna
don't
clean
have
up.
So you have to be able to. You have to be okay.
You don't really know me, so I don't know.
Yeah, no. Well, I'll
But
tell
I'm
you.
just curious. I want a quick
Yeah, yeah,
read.
yeah.
Quick read.
I'll tell
You
you.
know
I'll
Arthur.
tell you.
You know Arthur's nickname for me
What?
was he used to call me Tevye
Yeah.
from the Fiddler on the
Yeah,
Roof,
yeah.
but he never met you.
Yeah, well,
He would have loved that.
well, the two of you. I love this.
Oh yeah, he would have thought it was like
these are
Fiddler
my
on the
people. I
Roof.
live
What's
right-
the quick review?
So of the two of you, I love.
Just me.
So
Bruce,
so I
I
don't,
think-
I don't
I think
know
he'll
you
do
well
very
enough, but
well.
here's what I would tell you about running
Okay.
for office and requirements. I don't have like a checklist of or deal breakers on personality. Everyone gets to run for office if they want to. What I do have a checklist of is you have to be okay. Like I'm never going to run for office. There are just some things I can get up here and represent GHF, or I can do this podcast and talk about these things
Why
all day
couldn't you
long.
run for office?
If I had to sit here and talk about myself, I
Also,
wouldn't be as
it's-
good at it.
It's very
I'm not as good at
self-promoting.
it.
You have to be
You
self-promoting.
have to be able to talk
You have
about
to
yourself.
love yourself a lot.
You have to be shameless. You have to be okay calling people and asking them for money. And you have to do it. The one common thread of bad candidates that I've worked for, or they just you meet them in a meeting like this, a pitch meeting, like I want to hire you, I want to run for office, I want to do this, that, the other thing. Okay, make a list of 100 people in your network, your friends, family. Make the list, put their phone number in, put it in a spreadsheet, and we'll go through it and I'll help you. And we'll attach asks and then do it. Go through that spreadsheet.
You know what we used to do when I worked
One
on
second,
campaign?
yeah. And
People don't want to do it.
Oh,
they don't want to call their friends
when
and
I-
family.
Asking for money stinks.
When I used to do campaigns, and there was times we used to have, I'm not going to say politicians, we would make a list of people he had to call, and then we would staff somebody to sit with him.
Yeah.
To make sure he made the calls.
Yeah.
And he would sit there squirming like a child.
Yes, and
Who's
they'll get out
next?
of it.
Mr. Johnson, you know Robert and his wife Lisa.
Yeah.
Here's their number. I want to eat something.
No,
now.
that's exactly right.
I
Or,
want to go.
I gotta
eat
call my
now.
wife.
I
I
have to
gotta
go to the
pick my kid up
bathroom
from school.
again.
Yes.
You have a catheter. You have to go to the bathroom
Yes.
again. You've been to the bathroom six times in the last
Nope.
45 minutes.
Nobody
you
likes
have
it.
to call these people.
Nobody likes it, and even when they say they like it,
Demos
I
like
think they're
calling
lying.
people.
You know what's funny? I was going to say,
Demos
you
like
know who-
calling people.
You know who tells me they like it?
Who?
And I would believe it,
That-
but I just
Who?
don't believe anyone. Lee Zeldin. He used to when I was during that campaign.
You like calling people?
he would
Demos
again.
like calling people also.
I don't know if he liked calling people. He liked. So he was methodical and he was competitive with himself. So he would every day ask me for like a fundraising target, and I'd be like, all right, whatever, 10,000 for the day. He would relish calling me earlier and earlier in the day and be like, I hit 10 next tomorrow. You got to give me a bigger one. Okay, tomorrow's 15,000. 15,000.
I know, but there's something weird
So then,
about
if
it
he called me
also.
at 3 on Tuesday, he called me at 1 on Wednesday. Go, I got 15,000 by and he seemed genuinely interested.
He's a
in-
good politician,
Again,
Lee.
I don't know if he likes picking up the phone and calling people and asking for money, but he was.
Chase, and how did
interested in
social media change political fundraising? I mean, if you could reach so many people without TV and spend, like, don't you need less raising money? And Trump did he prove that or not?
So again, Trump isn't the right example. Running for president is different,
Okay.
and Trump is different. And
Money's
these
mostly
rules-
for marketing, right?
So most of your money is going to be from you calling people and asking them for money.
No. Where do you spend most of your money? In marketing?
Yeah, you want most of your money to. So the rule of thumb is 80-20.
80
So 80% of your overall from what you, and it's a moving target because you never know how
Right.
much you're going to raise. But
Right.
by election day,
Yeah.
you should be able to look back and say, I spent 80% of everything that I raised on paid media.
Now, with social media, could you get away with not paying
20%
so
on
much?
guys like me in office and stuff like that.
Got you. Could you get away with not having to pay so
So
much?
it's helped. So the good thing about the good
And
thing
is there
about
just like a disease you have to raise money because that's what politicians
have
like?
to
Where does
raise.
that?
well, so it sounds crass, but this is what I always am giving you advice. If you were going to run for office, I would tell you on your first day, it's like life. The more money you have, the more you get to do, right? If you don't raise money, that's okay, but we can't do as much, right? And we can't do as much as our opponent if they raise more money. Can't do more TV ads, can't hire more people, can't knock on more doors, right? So money is important. And the good thing now is that
Have you
there's
ever
so many
worked on a
different
campaign
channels.
that was terribly underfunded and
Yeah,
won?
most of them. Oh, and
No,
one,
but-
and one.
And won?
Well, Lee was outspent. We were outspent. I wouldn't call it underfunded. but
George was spending like crazy
you guys
because he had the
spent
rich
five.
father-in-law
I
in
think
San
you spent
Francisco.
$5 million. We spent $1 million.
Yeah, we spent a lot. I mean, they hired me. They hired Arthur. I mean, they
That
had
might be my
they
best-
had
that might be the
a
best
ton of
example.
guys working over there, and we were getting paid very well. There was no issue.
Harry Wilson came close. I forget how much he. I don't know if he was. We
Oh,
spent
what about
some.
Trump in the first election? Was he outspent? What?
He's always been outspent.
Always.
He's
And he's,
outspent in every
Yeah, but when you
election.
get to that level, at a certain point, it
It's
doesn't
different.
make a difference.
Listen, Donald Trump could do a tweet and put it on, and raise money off millions of dollars off it. And there's like if you get on Sean Hannity, your candidate gets on Sean Hannity, and he says, what's your website? Go contribute. That could be a 6-figure, low dollar day for you. But
if
it's
a Democrat
hard.
gets onto
And
like
so-
late night shows, it's big
I
money.
worked
also.
for. I
oh,
was
that
the
converts into money, right?
yeah,
Sure,
and
of
I
course,
led
but-
the
But
when
free
these
media
tactics
is hard. You have to use paid
Yes.
media to get free media. It
Correct.
doesn't go the other way around.
Why?
right. And
Because you're not.
Hold on.
both.
If
You
you're
can do both.
entertaining, people watch you for free because you're entertaining.
well, it's true,
I
but you
I
have to-
believe I'm an outsider. You're political hacks. That's your job.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that with social media, you don't need to spend a penny if you're the right personality. I'm going to throw that out there
Yeah,
to
well,
the
your-
people who make all the
your
money in
stock
politics.
as a candidate is going down, my friend. This is very common.
No budgets. No budgets.
So
What,
I
there's
really
a kid
believe
now-
that.
to a
There's a
certain
kid. There's a
to a
kid.
certain
there's a
degree,
kid
you're right.
running for
and there are
office.
ways to do it now because there's so many different channels, and if
Mm-hmm.
you go viral, everyone's chasing the viral TikTok and X posts now. But traditional
AOC went
media
viral years
still
ago.
matters.
Zoran went viral.
Yes, he was very good at it, and I'm happy to talk about that. He was the best at it that I've ever seen, ever.
Better than Trump.
Again,
It's
Trump
different.
is better, but running for president is just different. It's just a bigger platform. And now that Trump is
I don't
virtually
like
in his third 4 years of existence with us, right? Even though he wasn't in office for 4 years, it's been 12 years. It's going to be coming on 12 years after this term. He's got a platform. The guy can raise, at $5 a pop, he could probably raise $1 million a day every day when he says something or sends an email out. But so they're all. I won't go into all the different channels.
You think Trump's going to be able to push back against the loss of midterms next year if he goes out on the campaign?
I've been talking about
trail?
this a lot on
With
different
Susie
different
Wiles
aspects.
is saying that she's going to send him out like he's running for a term.
So him being on the ticket helps immensely. So I think that will help. I just think historically it's going to be hard, regardless of whether it's Trump or not. It's just historically.
They think the economy is going to turn the corner in the first quarter.
So if the economy is going, if there's more peace, there's fewer wars, and all these things are moving in the right. The current trajectory holds. I think that will help. But if you look at what's going on, I mean, the New York City just elected a socialist, not really a good.
Miami
not really
just
good example.
elected a Democrat.
Miami just elected a Democrat for the first time in 50 years. We lost Virginia, New Jersey, and they weren't necessarily as close as we thought they were going to be.
I know, but look at Bruce.
Bruce
The other Bruce,
Blakeman. Yeah.
Yes. Bruce is.
And now you're really going to try and get me in trouble.
Why? You're involved yet or not?
I'm not involved with either of the candidates, but that's
You
So I'm
love
going to get in.
to.
That's
now
sucking
I'm
out
gonna
the
get,
oxygen
Now
of,
I'm going to get in.
of
Now
New York
I'm going to get in
Insider
trouble because
baseball.
it's a New York based thing, and I want people to know Bruce is a better candidate than Elise. He's a better candidate in every which way possible
Then who?
than Elise Stefanik. And I just hope that people wake up before it's too late. Elise Stefanik is too close to Trump.
Well, you're a Bruce constituent, so you're biased.
I'm not just biased. Bruce won in a really bad Republican year by 10 points, a race he last time won by 3. He's a successful county executive. It's the safest big county in the country.
It's a purple county.
It's a purple county.
Democrats
It's
outnumber
a Democrats
Republicans.
outnumber Republican.
He knows how to win a coalition
He
election.
knows how to win a coalition. He does not.
As a MAGA person,
As-
don't forget he was like he did stuff
Correct.
on vaccines and arming. He's got a militia
He's
out
done-
there. He's doing all sorts of.
He's did all sorts of stuff, and
Conservative
all
stuff.
the while, he's not pissing off regular people on Long Island. He's a much more electable candidate statewide, and if the Republicans want to win, which I think they do want to win, or at least be competitive, he's a better candidate. Listen, Mike Lawler's my friend, and Mike would have better candidate than Elise also. There's a lot of people who are better candidates
Well,
than
Shaman,
Elise.
are you surprised that Bruce finally got in front of the camera and besides behind? Are you surprised?
No, Bruce is a star. 25 years in the making.
Yeah,
as
but
far as I'm
he
concerned.
never was in front of the camera until I dragged him.
Bruce wants to be an influencer and a star. He wants.
How come he never?
I
Why did
would
it have
been able
to take?
to put words to it in 2001, but if you would ask me if now in 2001,
But
would
I
say
never
yes,
wanted to
yes.
run for office.
Because we have our podcast and I have another podcast that Bruce was a guest, and people still tell me how much they love Bruce.
Everybody loves Bruce.
And
They do?
as a guest. No, as a guest. Now we're a co-host, so it's a different.
in bite-sized chunks. Like, I don't know if I want to
Well,
live with
you knew it in 01 that he wanted to finally be in front of the camera then. But no one offered
Spending
it.
24 hours a day in an office
Hold
with you,
on.
that was probably a
Well,
little
but
much back
we
in the
were
day.
friends. We never had any issues.
We
Was I
survived it. We
Bruce, was
survived
I the
it.
first one to put you on Zoom?
Zoom?
No, was I first one to interview on video in a
No,
real
I've
full
been
way?
interviewed. I did interviews for Chabad years ago when
No, it
when
was
Gabi
5
Holzer got
seconds,
killed.
10 seconds.
I did an interview with Al Jazeera where she asked me, whatever.
I
I'm
was the
not
fir-
going to
I
this.
just
want to
wanna-
go more to New
I
York.
wanna put on
governor's race.
record
You're
here
not
that I was the
involved
first-
yet?
Not involved.
Nobody's reached out to you? That's okay. Doesn't have to answer.
And here's what I will say. All
Bruce
I'm
is the
going to
better
say
candidate.
is I agree with you on the advantages of a Bruce Blakeman candidacy.
What are the advantages of
But
this of Elise? I don't know one.
Well, it looks like
I'm
he's
just gonna-
courting them. So.
I'm going to frame it in the way that I talk about it every 4 years, and I'm very happy to make this case to people's faces. I'm a downstate person. I grew up on Long Island. I've been living in the city for 25 years.
Yes.
You are not going to be governor of this state as a Republican without figuring out how to attract non-Republican votes out of New York City. You also need to win Long Island big. And this is going to get me into some trouble with my upstate friends, of which there are many. The numbers just aren't there anymore for upstate to have the outsized
Influence.
impact that they think they have.
No,
this
especially
is not
against a
to
woman
say
from upstate from
You
Buffalo.
have to start with your base. You have to. This is why New York is complicated. It's a big, people learn it's a big state. And
You
it's very
not- you
different.
don't-
Upstate is very different than
You don't agree
Long
that
Island.
Lawler was a better candidate than Elise?
Well, I love Mike Lawler. He's a great elected official. I think he's one of the best elected officials I've seen ever. Like when he was an assemblyman.
I worked
when he
with
was
him also sitting next to him for a
when he
while
was
too.
When he was a congressman, I'm
You
sorry
have the-
for Mike and I.
Now
Congressman
you,
Lawler
Mike,
and I
you can commiserate how miserable it
commiserate
was.
about who had it worse.
But Mike is a better candidate than her. I have nothing against her. She's a very
Listen,
fine
this
person.
is America. There's going to be some stress, but if Bruce wants to run and be in a primary, he's going to do it.
No, but
And
it's not
he
Bruce
gets
wanting to run. The party needs to get. Bruce is the better
But he's-
candidate.
so he's-
he can
he's-
also raise more money than
But
her.
he's from, like, one of the things that benefited Lee was from Long Island, and the two Long Island counties, Suffolk and Nassau, which are the two, I think, biggest Republican counties in the state. So I think Suffolk is for sure. They've been working together. That's meaningful, and it helped Lee a lot, right?
Yeah, but a Republican who wins Westchester wins. And will Republicans ever win Westchester
I'm not
again?
arguing against Mike. He's not a candidate. I'm not arguing against him.
I know, but Mike.
Shaman, how far could Bruce win if he would run? What would you guess?
Backman?
Yeah, Bruce Backman. When you say councilman, senator, how far would you guess? State
Well, he
senator?
lives in a good area to run for office. So if I asked you where you right, like if I want to run for office, I would have to move out of Brooklyn. There's no place in Brooklyn.
If
that
you'd
I'm
have to
gonna
roll
run
the
for office.
dice, and say,
Why am I running?
I
Hold on
think
a
Bruce
second.
would be good.
how far do you think you get up? Do you think you become a congressman?
Wouldn't be a good
What,
congressman.
are you
Tell
in the
me how
fourth?
far.
You're in the fourth?
I'm in the Gillen district.
Gillen, the fourth. That's the same district I grew up in, where my
Well,
parents live.
she's not going to lose next year.
So that's a
You think
toss-up
you
district.
think he can win as a congressman?
Yeah, he's got I don't know.
I have a natural base.
I don't know. That's what I was going to say. I don't know your relationship with your own community.
Very popular.
But well, so there you go.
I have a Passover program.
Yes, and listen,
And
you're
with
a
our
nice- you're a
podcast,
good-
We could
you're a
take
good
the whole world
person.
for Passover for
You're-
free. We'll
You're a
bribe the
good
whole world.
person.
Send them
You
to
like
the program.
people. You love talking to people. I know for a fact you're going to have no problem calling me and asking me for money when you do.
Oh
I
my!
hate
He's
asking
the
for
worst.
money.
Oh, that's probably
It's the
what's his
worst.
biggest fear.
Really?
Asking people
He
for
never
money.
asked
I
for a
hate asking
penny.
for money.
Really? I'm
Never.
surprised.
No, people work hard for their money. I hate to ask them for money.
He's the worst at that.
I have people who owe me money
I
now.
I mean
have
this
people-
in the best possible way,
There's-
but I would call you pushy to describing you to someone
not
who
for
didn't know
money,
you.
not for myself. I have people who owe
That's-
me
see, that's-
money.
see, that's my point.
And I'm like sending them texts. Can
Yes.
you please pay
I'm
me
the-
what you owe me?
I'm the same
It's
way.
really not nice. Can you please?
That's my point.
It's
That's the
terrible.
kind of
And I'm
stuff
like
you gotta
erasing
do.
the text. Oh, forget it. I don't want to send him that.
But that makes me like you better. It means you're a real person. You know.
I hate
But
asking
you have to
people
do
for
it.
money.
You have to do it. There are things you have to do. That's one of them.
so you have to be a good fundraiser
of course.
to be a real successful politician.
Correct.
You can't be just a nice guy and people throw
It's
money.
also emblematic of the symbolic of the rest of it. You have to be able, like, in every scenario when you're running for office, you basically have to call someone and ask them for money, if that makes sense, right? It's not what you're doing, but it's like uncomfortable.
You're
You have to
pitching,
go.
you're
You have to
selling.
walk into a room like this where you don't know any of you people. Shake your hands, sit down, and immediately start, making the point. You're also going to find out
Chapin's coming for Passover this year. I'm going to bring him to speak.
Wow.
I want to raise his
when's
visibility.
Passover.
It's the holiday that's around Easter time when
No, I
Jews
know-
eat
I
the
know. What are
crackers.
the dates?
What?
I was born on Good Friday. Did you know?
You were born on Good Fridays? That's why you
Why I'm. There's got to be a joke there about a religion, but my mom would be horrified.
Good
I'm
Friday?
not very religious.
your mother's religious.
Yeah, I wouldn't call her very religious, but she knows the Bible, and she's appalled that we still do not go to church.
So you saying congressman, right? That's the farthest he'll get.
Farthest. Oh, you want to see farthest?
No, the only position I would ever want to run for is I don't live in the city anymore, but would be mayor of New York City.
Mayor of New York City is
It's
a
the
great
only
job.
one I love.
At this point in time,
I could go to talk to all the different communities. I speak 5 languages.
I don't think you could be elected mayor in this particular discrete 4 and 4
You're
years.
saying he's only reason why mayor?
It's because he's Jewish. I don't think
Is that the
any
number
Jewish person-
2?
Why
after
Jewish mayor
president?
could win?
Well, we're electing people who hate Jews currently, so I don't think an actual Jewish person is going to be elected.
Yeah, but I could be entertaining to the non-Jews, almost like a comedian from
Would
the Catskills.
the non-Jews like you, like Jews
Like
less
a
or more?
A combination of
after they meet you?
Seinfeld and like the other one, Jackie Mason, sprinkle with a little bit of.
If you were the only Jewish person I knew, Bruce, I don't know if I'd have a higher or lower opinion of the Jewish people.
Of what?
He's shooting shots.
God, Bruce is the only Jewish person I know. Are they all as crazy as
You know,
Bruce?
Howie, when we used to work with another Jewish person, a very pious Jew, like a holy Jew, Howie Bagelman, who just moved to Israel actually and worked in Ohio politics for a while. And Howie would always be, would joke with me that like he would tell people like Bruce does not speak for the whole Jewish
I love that. Howie's
world.
embarrassed and won't have
Like,
you. He
he's
won't claim
not
you.
the representative of like all the Jews. Okay, this is not the representative. We would like they would like it would like like with the Passover Seder, there was like the good son and the bad
Rosh
son.
Hashanah.
So I was the bad one and Howie was the good one, and that was always how it was painted. Like Howie was like pious.
He had a beard?
No, but he was.
But Bruce ended up with the beard becoming Hasidic.
Bruce has the beard.
And Howie was like, but then
Howie does have the beard, but he's always been that way.
And Howie's he's very holy, Howie. Howie's a very holy person. Much holier than me. Like he would
Could you
talk
be
this
holy
way.
and work in politics? I thought that's
A lot of religious Jews work at particularly in New York.
I don't know if they're holy.
Oh well.
We have our friends, Friedlander and Indig and company.
I've run into some of them that are rebelling against the community too, not in politics, but
Who?
you go out in nightlife in New York City, and they're the religious. There is a friend group of religious Jews who go and party and
Where
do
are
all
they
sorts
going?
of crazy stuff, and then they go back to their
There's a
families later that I
non-kosher
don't think know
restaurant
about
outside
it.
of Williamsburg called Treif.
grave.
And the only person that knows what the word treif means is Jews.
I don't
Treif
know what that
means
means.
non-kosher food. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
That's funny.
pig and seafood with more pig.
Howie's my he's always my he probably hates this about me, but every Jewish holiday that comes up,
You call him?
No, I text or email. I go, if I have a client, I was like, client's got to put a social media post out about this particular holiday. What is it you say again on this holiday? I think you say like have a sweet New Year and some like all the different.
You still do that?
There's different things. Yes, I forget. When I was in Israel, I had it down actually. I started to actually learn it, but I've forgotten it again. I just don't use it enough.
Howie's very holy. Howie was always much holier.
What
than me.
your political consultant?
Yes.
What do you charge? Is it hour, weekly? What is
It's usually a monthly retainer.
how much?
It depends.
Just throw some numbers that people should know. A
Uh,
range. Bruce give me the elbow.
No,
Can we just
I'm
give a
happy
general
to talk
range?
about it. I'm not gonna listen, Bruce. I'm a professional spokesperson. I'm not going to answer a question I don't want to answer.
General range.
You know what Avram Fried, the
Hold on
Jewish
a
singer,
second.
told me
Listen,
once?
it depends on the role. So my problem in my business is I do a lot of different things, and I'm getting more into the spokesperson, PR, corporate communications. It's
Gotcha.
just much more stable work, and you don't have to deal with crazy candidates.
Right.
I will tell you, and again, you can make money in different ways.
Political consultant. Just give a
Whatever,
range.
political
Do you get
consultant,
10,000 a month?
I promise I'm not being coy.
Yeah.
I have been paid $10,000 a month.
Got you.
I don't think it depends on the level of the race, right?
Right.
Like a state assembly.
You know,
race
Arthur
is
was
not-
getting 25
I know,
years ago.
Right, but he's working
Arthur.
on congressional races and gubernatorial races. I'm
Oh,
starting.
so the bigger the race, the more the money.
well, definitely.
So assemblyman, you get like
Well, like if
5,000 a month,
Do you
10,000.
ever get
Maybe,
pieces of the ad buy?
So that's what I was going to say. You could also, I've worked for no retainer before, but I get to do the entire ad buy or get all the voter contact.
And then he gets the
the
money from that.
Right. For example, in 2020, I
You
was
take
the
percent of the ad buy.
Yes.
As a
Or I do
consultant,
the
gotcha.
well. You can take a percent, or you can also do the ad buy. I'm not a media buyer, but I have a media buyer that I
Gotcha.
use, and so I'll do the media buy and use them, and
Take
you
percent.
get a percentage. That's all
Gotcha.
negotiated. Also, I always put it in my contracts right up front. I'm very transparent. Not a lot of people do that, but like I'm going to tell you, what I'm taking out of things. I have learned that's probably a mistake because then people just want to cut everything out. They don't.
What's the biggest? If someone's running a presidential political consultant,
Well, so I think
can they make 100 grand a month?
Yeah, no. So I'll tell
Seven
you.
figures.
No. I'll tell you. So the real money is in the ad buys and that stuff, and the paid voter contact. So you can make, millions, maybe even tens of millions on a presidential race.
Just from the ad buying.
Yeah.
Got like Brad
Pascal,
Pascal and
yeah.
Susie Wiles. They were making millions.
Well, so La Savita and Susie Wiles were co-campaign managers. Chris La Savita and
Are you friendly with Chris? You
I
him?
know him, and I'm not close. I worked with him.
So you
once.
just charge
But
percent of
they were
what you
getting
buy.
30. He got $30,000 a month was his retainer.
Gotcha.
I don't know because it's not public. I don't know what his media deal was, but I suspect.
Also,
he
you
had-
guys don't believe in
let's say you get
any
one,
free media because you don't make any money. I get it.
well, no, but I also do PR, right?
Right.
You know, you're gonna get the price that ends of the contract, right?
No,
so
but if you
if you want me to
you
be
need
the if
everything.
you want me to be the general consultant, right, or the media consultant, and you want me to be pitching reporters and doing your press, then you probably get with me a little bit cheaper than two people separate doing it, but I'm still gonna price right. $10,000 a month is not enough for me to be your press secretary and your general consultant at this point in life, right? On a congressional race, I could take $5 a month, but I'm gonna have to get something. I'm gonna have to do the mail or the television buy or something like
Could
that.
you be an unlikable candidate or it doesn't work?
An unlikable candidate is hard.
Unlikable.
It's hard. But an Arthur Finkelstein story.
Which one,
Senator
the John East?
Alphonse D'Amato. I was at.
He wasn't in any ads in
Correct.
1980.
He wasn't in his ads because he just did not.
He put his
translate
mother in the
well.
ads.
That's right. And so D'Amato wasn't ever really in his ads.
What do you mean? You know the best that campaign Arthur told me was the guy
That was
John
a different
East.
era, though. There wasn't
He ever
social
told
media.
you about John East?
No, but there wasn't social media, so you didn't know what Senator D'Amato was doing every day of his life. I mean, the guy could, there was a little bit more anonymity.
But Alphonse was the best.
I'm a
was the
huge fan. It was my first political experience.
best.
Was an intern for a college intern for him.
Alphonse was the best when it came to
New York.
No, dealing with the people.
Senator Pothole.
Hold on.
He was the greatest.
Now that
Senator
I'm happy to
Pothole.
ask these questions, I see the ad buy is part of the deal. Do you think you could win a campaign with zero ad buy just on free social media? Yes or no?
I think it would be a super special case, and one of the problems is a person like me is gonna say, "I'm not necessarily unless you were a friend or somehow there was other." Like if Bruce asked me to do that, I'd say, "Okay, Bruce, I'm your friend of 25 years. I'll do that." If a random person,
I wouldn't
picks-
ask you to work for free.
No,
No, but-
ask. If Bruce decides he's just going to do free organic social media, do you think he could win? Yes or no?
he's not gonna get people like me to help him.
But forget you. If he could do it himself,
No, it's not going to work.
do you think you win? Yes
Here's
or no?
here's the problem, and I should have started with this. There's something called efficient. There's a difference between efficient media and inefficient media. This is my words. This is not like standard. Inefficient media to me. So digital media, most efficient media, right? So if you guys are registered to vote, I can go pull your voter registration, and I could serve you one ad, and I could serve you another ad in your house. That's technologically possible in 2025, and neither one of you would even know what the other one was seeing, probably.
In digital.
Yes. And so I know that every single dollar I'm spending in that category is getting put, you may not see it, and there's other things, but I'm serving it directly to you. Candidates love inefficient media, like a billboard, right? You're going to do a Times Square billboard for tens of thousands of dollars. Do you know if the people seeing it are registered
Or
voters
the little
even?
picket signs you see all over the highway?
Yes. The inside joke among consultants is like, how are we ever going to know it's election day if there aren't lawn signs?
But that's
Lawn
important
signs.
for that. But by the way, in that regard,
for that.
it
And
has
the
a
grassroots
value.
like it.
It
does
has a
have
value. It
does
has
have
a value.
Yes, but we hate
It
it.
also has a value.
I hate it. I
You
hate
hate
because
it?
every dollar and a campaign that does lawn signs is usually a local campaign that doesn't have all the money in the world. So every dollar a lawn is going into your lawn sign is $1 I'm not sending an ad to him with.
And
And I'm gonna hope and pray. This guy drives by the lawn sign.
Jack
and sees
Citarelli.
it.
A classic case is Jack Citarelli, where there was a lot of money spent on that stuff. And if you went around some parts of Jersey, you were convinced that Jack was going to win the governor's race there,
Sure.
and he lost by like 15 points.
I don't even know the story is true, but I've been telling you for 25 years. I heard in the Pawtucket days, how Adam Stoll, our campaign manager, our boss,
Yes.
when we first met,
Who I saw recently.
You know what his lawn sign strategy was?
What?
Because he also hated lawn signs.
What?
He would get the route to events that the governor was taking from the security detail, and he would have the team go blanket that route to the event with lawn signs. So the governor once went to him and was like, "Oh my God, there's Adam, you're doing a great job with lawn signs. They're all over the state." It's not a phenomenal idea. The candidate would never once bug him about lawn signs, and you only had to spend enough to get it out for his events. You didn't have to
What are you
blanket the whole
talking?
state.
When we were working for the governor years ago and we were doing events in Buffalo, we would put up signs about all these projects that we were doing and they weren't really happening.
Well, don't you
but
remember-
people were excited that there was things
Yes.
that were allegedly going to happen.
Did you come out with us? Like
Where?
the 2 days or the night before election day? There was nothing for the opposition research team to do. So we went out. They just sent us out to put posters up.
Where, in Larchmont? I went to
No,
Larchmont.
in the city. I was taping. We were.
Oh, you
climbing
were
up
doing
on light
posters?
posts
I
and
was.
doing posters.
No, they sent me to knock on doors in Larchmont.
Okay, that was.
I went in a different
That's
van.
more useful.
It wasn't really that useful because everybody was either voting for him and told us to leave.
What's the energy like in that room with all like the campaigns? Is it like a college dorm of energy? Is it a boiler room
There's
energy?
nothing like a campaign office.
There's like pizza boxes, every Chinese food.
Again, the vibes the spectrum is huge. Some of them are
of all the
toxic and
campaigns
hard.
you worked on. Of all the campaigns you worked on, when we worked together for the governor, that was the most fun you ever had, right?
I
You're
think it
asking or
was.
telling you, Bruce?
I'm asking, but I think
it
he
was.
thinks,
So
agrees with me.
campaigns can be stressful.
No,
too,
because
right?
we won. We won.
You know, I worked for a statewide race that was very stressful.
Who,
The
Harry?
candidate, I'm not going to get into names, but the candidate was tough on people, and it wasn't necessarily fun to be in the office.
It was fun.
The
to work.
Zeldin campaign was hard for me. We had a very skeleton crew.
Pataki wasn't skeleton
It was
at
like
all.
me in the office all day, every day, almost by myself sometimes. It was very tough on me personally. Pataki office, we were 22. It was like a party all day long. You were working, but then you know there was social. There was a lot of people, and there was resources to make the office.
There was a lot of drinking.
But there was resources to make the office okay. There was always a phone. There was a printer, couches. Like it was a midtown office. You felt like you were going. You know, my parents didn't really understand why I was quitting my job at a fancy law firm as a paralegal before I went to law school and joining some campaign. But like having a real office with someone who answered the phones.
Where'd you go to law school?
I went to Fordham at night.
Nice. So you're a lawyer, barred. Practiced ever? You never practiced.
I don't practice.
Did you ever
but
practice?
I am licensed to practice.
Did you ever practice?
The closest I ever came to practicing, I was a counsel on the Hill. I was a counsel at the oversight committee. I got assigned the census, so I was like,
You still in the bar?
Yeah, I still pay the dues and make sure I can argue a case for you, and you can hire me as your lawyer. But my first piece of advice would be to hire someone who knows what they're talking about.
Would you
And
run
I
for
like
office?
to, so I do
Would
a
you
lot
run
of
for office or no?
No, I do
No,
a lot of litigation PR support too, and I like to. So I also do a lot more than PR because of my political background. It's really, it's public affairs, right? It's finding leverage on an opponent and ways to exert it. And
You
so
don't
the
do
way
research anymore, do you?
not per se, but
That's
I,
a no. That's all I ever get called for.
Yeah, well, you're good at it.
No.
And after
but-
George Santos, you might think about going back into the research business because I will tell you, up until George Santos, research always got cut. Even though I'm an opposites research background, and I think it's incredibly important. And how can I be your press person if I don't have any content to farm out? You need research to pump out the content, right?
Only expensive campaigns invest in research.
But it's the first thing that gets cut, always.
It
Very
is.
rarely.
The problem
People
is
do
that
it,
there's
but it's
very few
important.
people today left who know how to do skilled research. I'm one of the few guys who can actually go to do
There's a few
microfilm.
DC firms now.
Yeah, but they're doing everything online. They don't go to like warehouse basements
Yeah,
like I used
it's true. It's almost like PIs now.
Yeah, they're not doing what I used to do.
Yeah, it's true.
I would get hired to go like, okay, go sit in a library and go through everything that ever was here in boxes for days. And I have good things I found over the years.
But I like to
have
describe
3 front page newspapers.
So lawyers handle the battle inside the four walls of the courtroom. Everything else is the battle that I like to handle and be a part of.
What are you
public
promoting
opinion.
today? How could you? Our audience is going to see the video. What do you want to promote?
I should have a book or something, right?
Yeah,
Are
or
you
whatever.
writing a
My summer in Gaza.
By the way, I have a guy who'll write a book for you.
I'm a writer. I could do it. It's just a matter of
What do you
time.
want to sell?
It's a
to our,
long book.
What do you want to sell to our viewers today?
Listen, I don't have anything to sell. If you need help with public opinion, or you want to run for office, or you need a spokesperson, you want to elevate your brand.
But there's other things Chapin brings to
PR.
the table. Chapin is the most knowledgeable person I know on what's gone on in Gaza in the last 6 months. Most of the people who run around on TV have no idea what was going on over there.
Yeah, I'm talking to Bruce. I'm talking to other people about starting an organization fighting anti-Semitism or having something to do with that.
You are?
Yeah.
What's
You
it
want to
called?
be involved?
What's it called?
Well, my C4 that will be done in a couple of days is going to be called the Committee for Civil. I forget the name of it.
What does
Well,
C4?
that'll be
The
very
Committee
cool.
for Civil Commentary.
What does C4 mean?
C4 is just a tax exempt status. with
What
the
will
IRS.
everybody
It's
say
a
at the-
Delaware nonprofit.
What are people going to say at the country club? You're starting an organization. Chapin pay the
These are dark money.
from the
These are-
Speedwell, Mayflower.
These are dark money organizations. No one's ever going to know who's behind it.
What generation American are you?
Like
What-
he's
what do
here
you
from
mean?
before everybody, except the people in the first boat. He
Your
was
family's
My
here?
number
father's
2.
family. Well, I got another fun fact about me. That, maybe
I love that he
maybe
was
we'll
on the
end on
Mayflower.
a joke that I still tell that Bruce came up with.
Which
My father's side of the family. We have been came to Massachusetts on the Speedwell. There's like a
which was the
Fayetteville, I
boat
think.
with the came with the Mayflower. It's
So
just got their lake.
my last name Chapin is at their building's named after. There's a Chapin Library in Mount Holyoke. There's Chapin Hall at the college I went to, Amherst College. That I don't know
Is
them
that how you
related
got
to,
into
but
Amherst?
that's all my friends joke about. Yes, that's.
You're 10th
I thought you were a
generation?
really good student.
I was.
Are you a 10th
Okay.
generation American?
I don't know what the generation is. I don't know.
He's
I
here
don't
from
know.
the beginning.
Whoa.
So my
Bruce
ancestor.
likes to think he's a New Yorker.
I'll
so
simplify
this-
it. On my, it's funny. On,
No,
on my
he's really-
on my
he's-
dad's side, we are the
You're the real
namesake.
thing.
Yes, the ancestor is Deacon Samuel Chapin, who is the founder of Springfield, Massachusetts. There's a big statue to him. It's called the
Yes.
Puritan. That is my relative in Massachusetts. That's like the one that's one of the big relatives in Massachusetts. My mother's great grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian. So technically, her family was here long before
Wow.
my family was here. Yes, but I inherited my father's coloring, obviously. And I told this to Bruce that the family, lures that we're part Cherokee. And my Bruce, I'll never forget. Yeah, your Indian name is Dances with Wasps. My mother and father still laugh at that every day.
They do?
And when I bring it up, yep.
That's like Jewish
They
humor.
remember you. Yeah.
They remember me, the Jewish kid that used
Thank you
to-
so much.
Of
Well,
course. Thanks for having me. Thanks for.
I mean, what do we word? The word from a sponsor.
Sponsor, Pesach.
Pesach in the Southeast, my Pesach program, www.pesachinthesoutheast.com. Best Pesach program in America. Chapin, I'm inviting Chapin to come and speak at Passover. I want to raise.
I'll be there.
He's going to
It's
come
in Texas this year, right? Is
It's
that
in
the
Houston. Yeah.
Any
go.
politicians? Anyone else famous coming, Bruce?
We're working on
On
a very
some-
What
prominent.
kind of stipend are we talking about here, Bruce?
We'll talk about
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
No,
kidding, I'm
don't
kidding.
kid. He's good, Bruce. Right on it.
What do you mean? Of course he's good. I
Oh,
know.
he
good
asked you straight
people.
on the mic.
I don't need a
He's not
stipend.
just-
I mean, if you want to pay for my flight, I wouldn't say no.
That's good. Consider it done. And I won't make you sleep in the hotel. Put you to a normal place with normal food.
I'm happy to sleep in the
Passover.
hotel.
No, we don't give
It's
up.
probably
We
not going to be
sleep
as.
hotel.
It's probably not as good as the hotel I was staying at in Tel Aviv, but
You were staying at the Sheraton. in the
probably be
executive
better
wing.
than the couple hotels I stayed at in Beersheba.
You slept in Beersheba?
Twice.
Oh boy, that's not a
One
good.
was
The Leonardo.
It was the Leonardo.
That's the nice one.
Yeah, that was not my favorite.
There's worse.
There was another one we didn't like the Leonardo, so the executive director found another one which was totally fine and nice. It just was like it's one of those hotels like in a neighborhood I didn't know, and it was very quiet.
I mean, why would you know the neighborhood?
And the door was open when I got
I
there.
don't know
or
Beersheba.
something like that. It's like
These are.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Leonardo felt like there was more hustle and bustle, which makes maybe it's because of my city. I'm a city kid.
Beersheba's not
That
known to
makes
be a
me
place of hustle and bustle.
Yeah, but there's like cars and people and
Beersheba's
things.
the Israeli equivalent of being from like Buffalo.
Oh, Mint, the vegetarian restaurant, or Mint or Mink.
Mint.
It was the name of my favorite
Oh,
meal that I
really?
had in Israel. Yes,
But like Beersheba is the equivalent of like Buffalo. It's like a city. There's a lot of people
Covered
there,
in
and
sand.
nobody really wants to go. Well,
Covered in
sand, snow,
Sure,
all the
that's kinda
same.
like Buffalo.
Nobody really wants to be there.
Like Montreal.
Correct. Montreal?
Yeah.
Montreal's another.
I forgot about that. We can make fun of Montreal too. I used to do that a lot. In
With Bruce, right?
yes.
You went to Montreal once. I told him it's a good place.
Yes, I didn't see the Orange Julius. Is that
Julep, the orange
the big
julep
orange
on the
thing.
Cary Boulevard.
Cary.
Yes.
Well, any case, it was nice having you. It
Thank
was
you
great
so much.
to
It was
talk.
nice meeting you. It was good to see you.
Anybody wants to know
You're the
more
first
about
guest ever in this podcast.
Really?
No one wants to
I'm
come.
honored, Bruce. I'll
You're the-
come whenever
no-
you want, Bruce, and I can talk to Bruce. I mean, Bruce probably just talks forever, but I enjoy
You're the
it.
first guest, so hopefully that sets a high bar.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chapin.
Well, can't
Chapin is a very old
get any
dear
worse,
friend.
right? So it's only up from here.
26 years I know you almost.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Our,
25
Close
years.
friends, yeah.
our third episode. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe, comment below.
My kids love Chapin, by the way.
Yeah, I gotta come out.
You come
I
out
thought you
for
were
all
gonna
my
have. I thought you were
kids.
gonna have
I
me
c-
for dinner.
We will have you for dinner. It's just then
Kosher
you have
pizza
to
or
deal.
something.
No, we cook food.
I'm kidding.
Cook food, not seafood. No seafood.
Listen, are we still rolling? I've seen this man eat.
Okay, let's
a lot
cut.
of
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much for coming. Was that good, Mom?